Welcome to Work in Progress, Conversations with Creators. On the show today, I have with me Ron Crowder, who's a fantastic Albuquerque-born musician, still lives here, just came out with a new album, which is really great. You're going to hear some of it today. We had a conversation about all kinds of things, life, music. I hope that you enjoy.
If you enjoy our podcast, please like and subscribe and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us bring you more content like this. You can find this episode and all of our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. See the show notes for a discount code on a digital subscription. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading news.
Starting to come around, you got the pace, knowing you can't slow down. No time to waste, feet never touch the ground. Into the rush, thought pumping through your veins. Turn it up, playing the same refrain day after day, doing it all again. I'm ducking, but don't turn away. If you blink, you're gonna miss it. The life you radiate is a miracle. I'm tight, 'cause you're moving at the speed of life. I can see you burn so bright, like the stars. You light up the night, light up the night. Don't close your eyes, one chance to be alive. Go on and let your spark ignite the fire and light up the night, light up the night. You got your dreams, but they're sitting idle. Sometimes it seems like the dead are arrival. Everything is merely survival. Whoa, but don't turn away. If you blink, you're gonna miss it. The life you is a miracle. I'm tight, 'cause you're moving at the speed of life. I can see you burn so bright, and like the stars you light up the night, light up the night. Don't close your eyes, one chance to be alive. Go on and let your spark ignite the fire and light up the night, light up the night. So come right at the speed of light. Gonna set your heart ablaze. Come on, let your dreams take flight at the speed of light. Take a chance and fly away, 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 away. Hold on tight, 'cause you're moving at the speed of life. I can see you burn so bright, and like the stars you light up the night, light up the night. Don't close your eyes, one chance to be alive. Go on and let your spark ignite the fire and light up the night, light up the night. Light up the night, light up the night. Light up the night, light up the night. Light up the night.
All right, this is Ron Crowder, and thank you so much. We just heard from your new album, Speed of Life, the title track, which is coming. When's the album coming out?
So it's coming out August 28th.
August 28th,
Yeah.
You're having a big release party. Where's that at?
Big bash in downtown Albuquerque, August 28th, Friday night at Fusion 708.
Fantastic.
Amp Concerts is promoting it.
Yeah. Neil with Amp Concerts,
Yeah.
great dude, has been doing great stuff for the music community here in Albuquerque and the state for quite a while. So tell us about this album and kind of maybe starting with this particular song, which is
Sure.
a real banger. Tell us about
Oh,
it.
thanks, man. Yeah, it was my attempt at doing a sort of a current sort of sounding pop song, because I'm usually kind of all over the map genre-wise. Crossing genres, but yeah, I mean, the song is basically, sort of seize the moment, pretty much sees the day. And the album, so I've been kind of a background guy for a long time. I'm a studio guy. I've got a recording studio in Albuquerque and have produced a lot of artists in town and otherwise, and I do a lot of commercial stuff as well, and have gotten a lot of my music in commercials and other things like that, and really have just been focusing on being a songwriter and a producer and recording engineer. And a few years ago, I decided I'm getting older. Maybe I should put out some of my own stuff, and so I started doing that and kind of putting out some singles here and there, and sort of decided to put out a collection. You know, I mean, authors in the old days, at least, used to put out sort of, you know, they would publish short stories in the New Yorker or wherever, and then they would wind up coming out with a collection. And so when I think of that, I guess that's the way I look at this album. Is it's a collection of songs, not necessarily thematically, you know, tied together, you know.
Yeah, although I think they go together, and maybe you know, because you wrote them or co-wrote some of them, but so it's all you.
Right. So there is that consistency with
it's going to have a point of view, and
and I tried to keep, because I write it in so many different styles, and I tried to keep this particular collection to make it make sense, mostly upbeat stuff. And
no, I think that there's like a kind of pop sensibility. Some of, you know, and sometimes you have like saxophones.
Yes.
And kind of, you know, it reminds me of some, I don't know, when I was a kid, you know, in the late 80s, 90s, and even like, I don't know, like Lionel Richie or something. Like there's echoes of that era for me. I don't know if that's a weird comparison, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that a lot of people have told me that it's got like a reminiscent of Paul McCartney in some ways. And I mean, I'm sure my influences have come out in that, you know.
Yeah, but really upbeat and catchy and quite beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
How do you approach writing a song? And I don't know if you want to use that one as an example, or if there's, you know, another one that you think you could kind of walk us through. Some songwriters start with the guitar, or you start with the lyrics, or, you know.
You know, every one is different for me, and usually I'm driven by melody. Melody's the thing that it's always, to me, you know, even when I was a kid, I'd hear things on the radio, say by Elton John, and I couldn't always understand what the lyrics were, you know, but the melody hooked me no matter what, and I would make up lyrics where I didn't understand what the lyrics were, and so melody is usually what hits me first, and if I'm lucky, some words will come with it too. And you know, a lot of times it'll happen when I'm driving my car, or I'll, you know, wake up in the middle of the night. Sometimes I'll get an idea, and I used to have tape recorders everywhere, but now with the phone, you know, you can just kind of dictate it into that, and I get an idea, and I'm always getting ideas, and then sometimes I, you know, move right ahead and go full force into it, and sometimes those ideas have to sort of gestate over time. There's a song on the album called "This Is the Moment," and I happened to be reading a lot of theoretical physics at the time, and I was thinking about the idea of time and how it's really a construct. You know, it's not real. You know, and I came up with the title "This Is the Moment." Another kind of seize the day sort of a thing. So there is a thematic thing there, and sort of came up with this riff on the piano, and immediately the melody and the lyrics started to come together. You know, this is reality. This is what's real. Yeah. You know, and kind of took off on that with a lot of the sort of the theoretical physics stuff that I had been, you know, absorbing and things like so it's all different, you know. Sometimes I can write a song in a half an hour, sometimes it takes 2 years, you know, of development, and like it doesn't feel right to me, and then suddenly you find that bridge or that thing that takes it to the next, and you're like, eureka moment, you know.
It's so interesting. I feel like I hear this from, you know, I have all kinds of creative people on this show, from filmmakers, musicians, artists, you know, anyone. And I think it's something across the board. And I have this too, where sometimes things come easy. Yeah. I'm as a writer, it just flows. Right. And it's like, well, that was done. And I almost don't trust it, because I think it just came out. So, you know, and then sometimes I agonize, and I could spend years on something that's still not never becomes, I don't know why. I mean,
Yeah.
if we knew why,
Yeah.
then we could just be more efficient, right? But
It's a pretty magical thing, actually. To create something out of nothing is the best. To me, it's the best
Yeah.
thing ever. And to try to explain it's always different, and it's always the best part for me is always the process.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to get there, and when you finally have those moments where it feels complete or feels right, it's the best feeling ever.
And you're like, this is the moment.
This is the moment. Yeah.
I mean, that is one of my favorite tracks on the album.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
And I think partly because, the title, it's like, there's a lot of songs that maybe have that title or something similar. Like,
sure.
this is the moment, this is
Yeah,
our time.
there's nothing
But-
new under
but-
the sun, right?
But I
It's,
think that, like, what's unexpected is that some of the lyrics do get into kind of like, like quantum physics stuff or allude to it. And so it's kind of taking this kind of everyday idea of like, let's have our moment or
Right.
let's seize the day, that kind of idea, but tying it to these kind of more
heady
heady
concepts,
ideas that are more philosophical and scientific. And, like when I hear people talk about quantum physics, to be honest, I don't understand it.
I don't either. But what I do, the little bits and pieces I glean, I think, oh my gosh, if I can understand even the tiniest bit, it really opens up my brain.
Yeah. Maybe if we can understand it more and tap into that,
There you go.
we can write, we can get into that flow, right? I don't know.
I don't know either.
But it's interesting. So let's back up. Tell us about your life, how it started, where you were,
Sure.
when you first started getting interested in music.
So I grew up in Albuquerque, and I grew up in a musical family. And so for me, there was really never a time when music wasn't a part of my life. It was like breathing. It was like oxygen, water, all the nutrients. My mom was a fantastic musician. She played the piano. Was really she wrote songs. So when I was a little kid, I started writing songs because I thought, oh well, that's what you do,
Right.
And I've told this story before. I remember the first time it occurred to me that my life was different when I was, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old. I was on the playground and I was singing, and a bunch of kids sort of came around and sort of looking at me like, what's he doing? And I realized, wait, you don't know how to sing? And so
Right.
come on, we can all sing together. And so we all, there was a beautiful moment where we were all singing, and I remember that moment very clearly. And that was the moment where I thought, oh wow, okay, I guess not everybody, it's not natural for everybody to have this.
Yeah. And you know what's cool about that story too is I feel like there's a lot of artistic people, if you're a musician or any kind of artist, who they have that when they're a kid. I certainly had some inclination.
Right.
And sometimes it can be a thing that alienates you from other kids if they're not artistic, if
Right.
they're not singers, if they've
Right.
never sung. Like that could have been a moment where like you got beat up or something.
Well, no,
you
it
know?
could have,
But
absolutely.
instead it was the opposite, that you
Right.
discovered that, oh, music is something that can bring people together.
Right. I think, man, I don't, you're right. I could have gotten beat up. But it was one of those things where it was just such a part of me before that ever even happened, before that moment happened, that there was no going back. It was
Yeah.
just always there, it's always been my life and always been my lifeblood,
So you always knew like that's what you're going to be.
I didn't always know that I was going to be that. I know, it was like, it was so who I was that I don't even think I made a conscious effort to think, oh, this is what I'm going to do. Because there was a time when I was a kid, I think every kid has the thing where, oh, I wanted to be a basketball player, a pro basketball player. And so my idols were those guys,
Right.
and I mean, up until probably high school. And then when I realized, I wasn't getting as tall as some of the other kids and they were getting really, really good, but music was always there.
Yeah.
And I was always, I started playing the drums when I was 13, but I was singing and writing before that. And it just became a thing where wow, okay, this is, apparently this is my path for,
Yeah.
and there was no turning back.
When did you start learning guitar?
So, guitar, I think the first time I picked up a guitar was probably around 13, again, and I had, it was one of those things where I always wanted to be a drummer from the
Uh-huh.
time I was a little kid. And I had a babysitter buy me a drum set one time. It was one of those Sears and Roebuck,
Yeah.
and it was for Christmas, and I opened it up and there was a hole in the bass drum. So my dad and we took it back to Sears, and of course they didn't have any drum sets in stock, and I don't know how he did it, but he talked me into trading it in for a Fisher Price record player. It took me a year to realize, wait a second, and then I know what he was thinking. He was thinking, you bought my son a drum set? It's going to be so loud, And so
Yeah.
for the rest of, my childhood, I begged them for a drum set. And I even I'd be at school and I was basically lying to people. I said, yeah, I used to play the drums.
Right.
So in my mind, I was a drummer, And so
Yeah.
when they finally bought me a drum set when I was 13, I thought, oh my God, I got to get busy. People are going to realize I've been lying all this time.
Yeah.
And I worked my butt off and practiced and practiced. I learned 2 beats. I started a rock band the next week, played those beats until I
Uh-huh.
could figure something else out. So what happened with the guitar is we'd set up in my house and guys would leave their equipment. So when they would leave, I'd pick up their guitar and try to play around and try to figure out, chords and stuff. And it took a while to do that, and then gradually I started to pick up more and more stuff over the years.
Huh. But you kind of taught yourself.
I did. I think I probably could have made a lot more progress if I'd had a teacher at some point, but I did. I picked up things from watching the guys in my different bands play,
Yeah.
and even, one of my friends one time, he was finger picking, and it's called a Travis picking technique, and I didn't know that at the time. I
And I
just
don't know
thought
that.
it.
I mean, I played guitar and drums for a little bit. We
Oh,
can
you
talk
did?
about
Oh, wow.
but I never, I mean, I knew some chords. So
Yeah.
I didn't really know. I don't know
Okay.
what's the Travis
So
technique?
it's an alternating picking thing, and it's you basically it's thumb. It's something like this, And he goes, oh, I'm basically doing this,
Yeah.
and so I took that to the guitar. I'm doing it. Oh wow,
Right.
I'm finger picking. So it was
Yeah.
that kind of a thing, and then at a certain point, I picked up a guitar book and just to learn some chords because I was making up chords, And so I still often do that, even though
Yeah.
I wound up going to fast forward a bit. I went to college and studied music theory, and that
Yeah.
was my major. So I'm pretty up on music theory, but I don't think about that when I'm writing. I like to
Yeah.
keep that child's play thing going because you're right. A lot of kids lose that.
Yeah.
And like I started writing songs when I was a little kid because I didn't realize that was a difficult thing to do. And my
Right.
mom was doing it. I thought that's what everybody did.
I think there's something to that because I think, a lot of people maybe have an idea that something is difficult and that becomes a barrier
Oh,
to
yeah.
them. And if you don't have that and you're just like, well, let me play. And I
play.
think that's sometimes when the best stuff comes out.
I absolutely agree. And I try to keep that, I don't even think about the theory behind any chords I'm playing or anything when I start to write. It's just, okay, just go with the flow, go with like I said, the melody always leads the way for me.
Yeah. It's interesting. I had an experimental guitarist on here a while back, Fred Frith,
Oh, wow.
who, you know him?
I don't.
Well, but he was in town for a festival, but he'll do stuff like dropping chains on a guitar and just
Sure.
the experimental things.
Sure.
But he was classically trained, but he said sometimes it's like you have to kind of unlearn
Mm-hmm.
things in order to arrive at something new. I don't know. It's interesting. I was thinking about the drums to just shift back because I had a drum kit.
Okay. When you were a kid?
Well, yeah, when I was like, maybe I was a teenager, and I had played like the bass drum in the marching band and stuff. But I wanted to be like a rock drummer.
Sure.
And so my parents got me this kit, and then they got like themselves these ear protection things that they would wear whenever I played.
Sure.
I never quite got good enough, and eventually got rid of it. And anyway, but it was yeah, they're loud, and especially if you're like not great, it can just be like,
it's like nails on a chalkboard, probably. God bless my parents, because they
yeah, mine too. My mom always watches this, so
Okay.
shout out to my mom.
No, I mean, they didn't even have the soundproof headphones, and they just kind of let it happen. And I remember not even thinking about it. As a kid, you're just going with the flow. And I remember one time a friend came over, and he had his dad dropped him off, and my friend wanted me to play the drums for his dad. Hey, play him something. I mean, you're basically playing a drum solo. There's no group around, and his first words to me, his dad's words to me were, "Wow, do you play that loud all the time?" And I'm, they're loud. They're drums, but
they're drums. But anyway, so you switched out, and then
I kept playing the drums. I played drums through high school and in bands and stuff, but I was still, you can't write a song on the drums.
Well,
so
right, yeah.
so I, even when I was a little kid, I kind of would dink around on the piano. I really didn't know how to play it, but that's how I would write my songs, because I'd see my mom play the piano, and it was accessible, so I could just go play some notes and make some things up,
Yeah.
But
now, what about your time kind of, working with other musicians? You've been sort of a session musician, I think.
Yes.
And you've supported, and also a producer. And
right.
kind of when did that come about? Or if you can think of some highlights from
Sure.
those years that were I don't know, musicians that you got to play with that were memorable.
Well, so how it got started was that I literally went into the recording studio the first time when I was 13. I had barely been playing the drums, maybe 6 months, and I wrote some songs with some guys, and we went in and cut a 45 single in the studio. And the second I got into the recording studio, I just felt at home. I just felt like, oh my gosh, this place is incredible. And it made an impression to where I was in and out of studios all through high school with different bands. And so when I got out of high school, I was 17, and I had a summer job. I saved up all of my money and bought a 4-track reel-to-reel multi-track machine and to record my own stuff.
Yeah.
And gradually friends started to say, hey, would you record me? So
Right.
without even realizing it, I was becoming a producer even at that point. And so, I went to music school, and all through that time, I was still doing sessions at night in different studios, wound up getting a job in an advertising agency. In my early 20s, I was their in-house recording engineer. So I learned how to make commercials and things like that, but still producing other people. And it just, a few years later, I started my own studio, and, just a variety of projects over the years. I've worked with a lot of great local musicians, but also some of the drums on my album this time around. Even though I'm a drummer, I got Greg Bissonette, who is Ringo Starr's drummer right now, to play on some of the tracks.
He's touring with Ringo?
He's touring with Ringo right now, yeah. Kebby Williams, the sax player for the Tedeschi Trucks Band, he plays on one of the tracks. And a lot of that was sort of kind of due to the pandemic. So things were shut down, and a lot of times it was like, all right, well, who's in the studio today? And so that they'd wind up on one of the tracks that we recorded,
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. Yeah, it's kind of, I hate this phrase, like a blessing in disguise, but
Sure.
But they're as horrible and horrific as the pandemic was, and painful for so many people. There were also opportunities that were created that,
maybe wouldn't have happened
maybe
otherwise.
wouldn't have happened. So that's great. Yeah. And I think like just learning how to produce, how to mix audio and stuff. I mean, I guess that was also, you started out kind of self-taught at one point. Then you got that job,
Right.
where you're learning probably
Well, I was
a little.
learning on the fly. I mean, I actually when I first got the job, I mean, for the first year I was there, I thought, oh man, they're going to figure out that I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm going to get fired. So I'd stay late every night, and I'd go behind the board and just like plug different things in and try to figure, okay, well, this does that. Oh, if I do that, it does this. So it was a trial by fire,
Yeah. I mean, it seems like this is your
modus operandi.
Modus operandi for, that you're not going to books, you're not getting people to teach you or give you tutorials. You're just kind of
I'm not sure it's
trial
the best.
and error.
I'm not sure it's the best way, but it's the only path I had, so I took it,
And maybe I think there is something to be said for that, because it's like when you're experimenting and doing trial by error,
Right.
and figuring things out on your own, like you find what works for you, and it becomes like once you do achieve proficiency, as you have in these different areas, maybe you don't do things exactly the same way as everyone else, but you do things in a way that works for you and has its own character, maybe.
I kind of agree with that. I mean, a lot of the artists that I really admire, guys like Pete Townsend, he plays the guitar a certain way that nobody else does, and it's because he taught himself and he just created his own sort of language. Paul McCartney is a similar thing, he didn't know how to read music or anything, and the Beatles, I mean, a lot of the stuff, music theorists would analyze their stuff after the fact and say, oh wow, he's going from a 1 to a 3 chord, he's doing, oh, there's a modulation. They weren't thinking about, I mean, and people were like, well, you can't really do that, that's breaking the rules. They didn't know that. They were making up the rules.
They were just doing it.
Which is beautiful.
Which is, it really, if you have the ear for it and you do, then.
Right.
It's interesting. I think, it's probably they were doing stuff that, if you're a music theorist, it's like, wow, that's just like incredible.
They're pushing the envelope.
They're pushing that, but they didn't know any better.
They're playing. This is where I want to go.
Yeah. I took a painting class in college taught by Elizabeth Murray, who is a really great painter. And it was called "Aesthetics Are for the Birds." It was from a quote by this painter, Barnett Newman, that said, what is it? Aesthetics are to artists what ornithology is for birds. In other words, if you're an artist, you're like a bird. You just do your thing.
Sure.
And then other people will study you.
That makes sense.
The people that study art theory, they study, and like you're saying, try to piece it, just like ornithologists study birds. But birds don't have to like learn ornithology to learn how to be a bird.
There you go. Yeah, that's great.
Right. So your last track on the album, what's it called?
Oh, it's called Young Again.
Young Again. And I think this is a great one. And let's hear a little bit of it.
Okay.
I remember driving way too fast through the county pasture and the brown cow patties. We stopped and gathered up the psilocybin, found a sinkhole to dive and fired up a couple fatty. Sounds carefree now, but every second then seemed filled with tension and fear and doubt, and 1,000 dark moments too awful to mention. I remember sticky summer days in a ripple haze, floating down the Itchituckney. Way back then, anyone could tell I was cute as hell, but nobody would love me. Would you? Would you? Would anyone ever? I was left to wonder, and what would I do? Would I have to sell my soul just to find my place? I can't even kill the pimple on the front of my face. Be young again, it's a false refrain that I won't be singing tonight. Wouldn't wanna be young again, it was all a pain. If my memory serves me right, wondering will I ever find a job? Would I find my bliss? Would I find a reason for all of this? Would I chase my dreams or just float in the pool? Would I be free man or a corporate too. Wouldn't wanna be young again. Wouldn't wanna be young again. Wouldn't wanna be young again. But every now and then, maybe once or twice, maybe every day of my life. I remember lying in my bed in this nights of dread, with my eyes upon the ceiling. I saw the future as a big abyss, or something I might miss. But all those anxious feelings are behind me now. I don't worry about things that just don't matter. Made it through somehow, without getting jaded or bitter or fatter. Wouldn't wanna be young again. It's a false refrain that I won't be singing tonight. Wouldn't wanna be young again. It was all a pain, if my memory serves me right. Looking at you with the blurry eyes through my cataracts, with a single sneeze, throwing out my back, careful of my knees when I'm in the sack, taking baby aspirin for a heart attack. Wouldn't wanna be young again. Wouldn't wanna be young again. Wouldn't wanna be young again. But every now and then, maybe once or twice, maybe every day of my life. But every now and then, maybe once or twice, maybe every day of my life. Wouldn't wanna be young again. Only every day of my life. Wouldn't wanna be young again. Only every day of my life. Wouldn't wanna be young again. Only every day of my life. Wouldn't wanna be young again. Only every day of my life.
What a beautiful track. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration for this.
Sure. So I co-wrote this song with my buddy Danny Rubin, and he's for people who don't know, he's the guy who wrote the movie Groundhog Day.
Oh yeah.
And so I met him at a friend's wedding. I was playing that night for the wedding, and he was playing too. And I was running sound at the same time. So I kind of got to meet him, and somebody told me he wrote the movie, and I immediately went into fanboy mode and just practically screaming, oh my God, God, and so I tried to tone myself down, and I just said, hey, I don't know if maybe you want to meet up sometime and try to write something. What a bold thing to do, and he said, yeah, we could try that or whatever, and so we connected, and there was another song we wrote on the album too, and it's called Monkey Down, and that was actually the first song we wrote, and then I think Young Again was the second song we wrote, and it was a conversation. We would get together and sort of, laugh and talk about what do you want to write about, and at one point I was talking about, gosh, wouldn't it be cool to be young again, and he goes, no, it'd be awful to be young again, and he starts bringing up all the reasons it wouldn't be, and I'm bringing up the reasons why it would be, and then he kind of convinced me that, okay, maybe it wouldn't be great to be young again, and so we kind of went back and forth on that, but we both loved the title. And it just kind of evolved over time, and his wordsmithing and my melody and chords and stuff, and it that's how it became what it was.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I love, because it's kind of like you sort of present both sides,
right,
and you go back and forth.
Right.
It's not, because there's these songs, Forever Young, or,
sure,
a lot of songs about people wanting to, and as I'm getting older, I'm, sometimes, but I'm ambivalent about it. I don't know if I want to be young again or not.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. I did this song the other day, and I told that story, and afterwards somebody yelled out, "I want to be young again."
Yeah, yeah.
So there's the dichotomy, and there's good in both things, I guess. But we are where we are, So that's the catchphrase at the end, Wouldn't want to be young again, only every day of my life,
Right. Yeah. I mean, when my ankles and my back hurt, I'm like, yeah, it would be nice to not have that, but. I don't want to be, make all the stupid mistakes I made.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's the thing, I'd love to be young again if I could know everything I know now.
Right. Well, thank you so much. This has been really a pleasure.
Thank you for
getting
having
to
me.
know you. I wish we could talk for 3 more hours.
Absolutely,
but,
absolutely. We'll have to get together and you can
and
play my drum
This
set.
is where people can see. This is the new Ron Crowder, Moving at the Speed of Life. I hope everyone comes out to your release party and gets the album. And thank you again for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.